it's Christy from coastalknitsandpearls.com, and I am here sharing my weekly update for the week of November the 29th. I'm talking Advent calendar planning, finished Christmas sprinkle knee-high socks, all the works in progress that I have, and more. So let's jump right in and see what I have been up to this week. So I did get my stitches out from my procedure. So you see a little ointment there. It's Aquaphor, which my dermatologist swears by. So we'll see how that turns out. The girls and I got our haircuts on Wednesday, so we were fresh and clean for Thanksgiving. And in between cooking and eating, of course, yesterday, I did fit in some knitting, so I'm excited about that. It is still all Christmas knitting all the time, and I do have several projects going on simultaneously, so nothing's really changed in that area. But let's talk Advent calendar planning. So I ordered one Advent calendar this year. This is my first Advent calendar for yarn, and I ordered it from Southern Skeins. It is an elf theme, so the movie Elf, which is one of my favorite Christmas movies this year. So I'm excited about it. I received it the first or second week in November and tucked it away for now. But this morning I started thinking about how am I going to handle this Advent calendar. So I started watching videos and seeing how others handled theirs, and still up in the air, of course, but I started thinking, well, do I unwrap one day at a time? And if I do that, do I knit with that one day at a time? So, open package one, knit, 5, 10, 15, 20 rows of yarn number one, and then set it aside, then day two, blah, 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 blah. Or do I unwrap everything all at once? So I have the opportunity to plan, color changes and yada, yada, yada. Do I knit socks or do I knit a poncho? I primarily knit socks, and I did buy the fingering weight sock yarn, but I have been on the lookout for like a little sweater, cardigan, poncho, whatever you want to call it, and a poncho knitting pattern came from Southern Skeins as an idea with this Advent calendar. So I started looking at that, which do I want to knit? But then I don't know what the colors of the yarn are yet, and if they are in fact, Christmas colors, is that something I'm going to want to wear other parts of the year? So socks or a poncho, or I don't know, maybe even something else, not sure yet. Or another idea is, do I want to open the packages one day at a time, so December 1st through the 24th, and then save all that yarn for Advent calendar knitting next year, so in 2025. And then I guess I could order one or however many Advent calendars for 2025 and then save that one, for 2026. So a lot of questions and all unanswered at this point. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I will decide, and of course I will let you know what it is that I decide. So next, Christmas list, knitting related. I have been sending links to my husband for Christmas gifts that I'm interested in receiving from him and my children. And first up is the Color Sock Project, or the Sock Project by Summer Lee. I enjoy knitting her sock patterns, and so I would love to receive that book as an option to knit through some sock patterns, or maybe all the sock patterns in that book. I asked for a flamingo knitting project bag. Usually I get like a small sock size project bag or a medium sized. Some are large that I have, but they're not like gargantuan large. They're, like large, large. I did have some flamingo project bags identified on Etsy, and I guess they sold out. So I haven't identified which one it is that I would like quite yet. But if you have a flamingo knitting project bag, drawstring or zipper, I would be interested in seeing it. Please drop it in the comments below so I can send it to my hubs. And then also, as an alternative, if I can't get a Mingo one, I would love a Florida beachy coastal themed one. So I don't know, flip-flops, beach, shells maybe. I'm not a huge shell person, but maybe. Palm trees, something with the state of Florida, that would work as well. But so let me know. Third thing I asked for was a neck knitting light. So I've noticed as I age, my eyesight, of course, is not getting any better. And when my husband and I sit on the pool patio at night and I'm knitting and watching TV, or we're sitting in bed watching TV, the lights from, overhead or the lamps are just not enough for me. I need something that's kind of focused on my project. So that is another thing that I asked for. I also asked for, and I will probably end up buying these myself, but 2 Chagu Red 9-inch circulars, US size 1. I decided I have one 9-inch circular needle right now, and it's actually the Takumi Clover bamboo one, which I have ordered a second one of that. I decided I would like to knit 4 socks all at once. Something like this, where I have, 6 skeins, or I had 6 skeins of the same yarn, I could do 4 socks in the same yarn all at once. I could also do different skeins, all 4 or 2 of the 4, whatever, so that I can get through some of that stash yarn I have of socks, sock yarn, fingering weight yarn. But the other thing is, I may, where I only have 1 skein, for example, to get it on 2 of the needles, I may split the skein as I'm balling it up. So I can do 2 on, 1 set, like the bamboo set, or 2 on the red Chagu. So we'll see. I may end up ordering those ahead of time just because I have all these Christmas socks that need to get off the needles before my girls have to wear them to Spirit Week. So yeah, that's that. The last thing I asked for knitting related is a knitting project journal. So I typically keep track of all my projects on Ravelry, which I will still continue to use, but I'm thinking of keeping better track as I go along and then putting the final on to Ravelry, but we'll see. But I did ask for a knitting project journal. So those are all the gifts I asked for. So let's jump into the 2 projects that I finished this week. I, of course, finished my Christmas sprinkles knee-high socks for my youngest daughter. My girls do go to a Florida charter school and have to wear uniforms, but on the last week before Christmas break, they have like spirit days, and one of them is usually to wear Christmas socks. So I'm making these, this is made, but making it for the other 2 as well, so that they have socks to wear. They don't have to wear them, but they can. This is just a vanilla sock pattern, and I elongated the leg. I've talked about this before, but I started looking at all these sock patterns for knee highs, and a lot of them had calf decreases. But in looking at my girls' legs, they also weren't for kids; they were mostly for women. But looking at my girls' legs, they're pretty straight. So I think sock yarn is pretty giving. It's got a stretch. So I'm thinking they're going to be fine. So I just knitted the cuff, put it to the youngest daughter's leg where she wanted it to fall, which she wanted it pretty high almost on the knee. And then I measured from the top here to the top of her ankle so that I would know how many leg rows I needed to knit prior to starting the heel. And I will do the same for the other two girls. The other thing I finished was my third bookmark. This is yarn from my Yarnable subscription. This is the Witch Please colorway, and it is a tapered bookmark. I will not add a tassel. This has been blocked, but not starched yet, and I do plan on starching it. So that's that. Those are my two finished things. Completely finished this week. Works in progress. I have my first sock for my second pair of Christmas Sprinkles knee-high socks. This will be for my middle daughter. I am on the leg. I think I'm about 20 something rounds into the leg. So she's a little bit taller than my youngest. I had to do 80 rounds for the leg for hers. So again, I will put the cuff to where she wants hers to fall on her leg, measure to the top of her ankle, and then figure out how many rounds that takes me to get the length I need for the leg. Second work in progress is my hurricane blanket. I am 120 rows into this, called a hurricane blanket because we live in Florida and because it is with hurricane yarn from Hobbii. This is the first cake of the 3 that I bought, so hopefully I have enough. This colorway is pink coral. I also have orchid, which is purples and whites for my youngest, and river, which is blues and whites for my middle. I started a bookmark for my sister-in-law. I'm only a few rows in. I think I'm on row 6 or 7 maybe. These knit up really, really fast, but I haven't touched it much this week. So I do need to get on that, however. Finally, that's just a fingering weight yarn. I think it's called Seaglass or Beach Glass as the colorway, and using size 1 needles, just straight. There's a pattern which is on my Ravelry project page, and you can do it tapered or squared. That one I'm going to do squared. This is my soap sock, so I will insert this handy dandy, nice smelling chic soap into it once it's done. But essentially I took 100% cotton yarn that I had left over, and I am knitting it essentially like a sock. There's no cuff, it's just going to be straight knit. And then once it's done, I will Kitchener the bottoms just like I Kitchener the toe of a sock, and then I will slide the soap in, and I will mail one to my sister and brother-in-law as part of their gift package. That's all I have in progress. So what I have read this week is 2 books. I read Hashtag True Crime by Geneva Rose, which Geneva Rose is one of my favorite authors. This particular book she wrote with someone else. I did not love it. It is not really anything like she typically writes. So I could have, I could take it or leave it essentially. The other book that I read was, let me get the name of it right. The Most Fun We Ever Had by Claire Lombardo. So those were the 2 that I finished this week. I am currently listening to The Vacancy in Room 10, which is pretty good. It's not by an author that I normally read, but I'm enjoying it so far, and I'll let you know when I finish that. Also, I'm adding my Goodreads link to the notes here and also my blog posts, because I figured that way you can follow along on what I'm reading and what I've read, even in between shooting these update videos. My husband and I are still watching Chicago Fire. I think we're on season 7 now. There's 12 or 13 seasons, so we're a little over the halfway mark, I think. We're also still watching Tracker season 2 together, and Fire Country season 2 or 3. I can't remember which season we're on as well, together. And then I've been watching by myself the newest season of The Diplomat, and I think I'm on the last episode of the current season of Outer Banks. So you can find me on Ravelry and on Threads as my name. Sorry, had a blank for a minute. Christy McCauley. Here on YouTube at Florida Knits, on Pinterest and Instagram at Christy Co, and on Facebook at Christy Knits. And you can always email me at coastalknitsandpearls@gmail.com. I absolutely love connecting with my fellow knitters and fellow Floridians. So reach out to me to ask me questions, leave me comments, or to share your latest knitting project. Or if you have a knitting project bag you would love to share with me, I would love to see it, especially if it's a Mingo theme. But until then, I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving, and I will talk with you next week.